Mr. Gonzalez, would you? Okay, if we're all ready, we'll call this public hearing of the Yuma Union High School District Number 70 Governing Board to order. If you'll all rise, Mr. Gonzalez will lead us in the pledge in a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay. This public hearing is for the purpose of reviewing the proposed budget for the 22-23 school year. Mrs. Thompson, you want to have this presented to us?
Yes, and I believe we have Mr. Herrera here for that presentation. So if you want to come on up, Mr. Herrera, thank you for being here.
Hello. Perfect. Good afternoon, board members. Today we're going to be I'll be presenting the adopted budget for the 2022-2023 school year. On the cover page, we did see some adjustments on the tax rates just so they can reflect last year's rates, and we'll be changing them once we get the amendment after the tax rates are set. On the next page, which is the contact page, we did update some information. For our maintenance and operations, there were some changes after the proposed budget. It was an increase of $425,000. This was due to the addition of the free and reduced lunch, which increased our student weight count. And on the next page, we have the SPED education that we actually allocated additional funds to ensure that we met with the maintenance of effort for these SPED education. On the next page is for our classroom site funds. On this classroom site fund, there was also an increase of $317,000, which was also due to the addition of the free and reduced lunch, which increased our student weight count for this. On the next page, it's going to be our capital, and for this one, there was also an increase of $710,000, just due to the free and reduced lunch, which increased our student weight count on this. On our next page, we see here that we have budgeted our $23 million for new school facilities. We've also budgeted $4 million in adjacent ways, which will be including the $1.5 million that we're levying for Somerton High School. And on our next page is for our grants. Here we reflect their new allocation for the fiscal year, the 22-23. And they will increase with the next budget revision as ADE makes their adjustments for any carryover or additional funding. On the next page, we just see our budget limit for our maintenance and operations. And we also have, after that, the limit for our capital. Okay, do we have any questions? Yes.
So my question is, the free and reduced lunch population that increased, how did that happen?
So for that, it was just something that was added this year, and I had to figure out who qualified for that. And after speaking with Grace, she said all of our students qualified for that.
Oh, perfect. So
Yeah.
it was a recalculation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was actually passed in legislation. It was an extra special add-on for weight, and that's why we were able to add that on, and that's why we made that adjustment. Just as a point of clarification, when he's talking about the additions for each one of those, that's from the proposed budget to the adopted, not from last fiscal year, not from our last budget that we did. So those, even though those numbers don't match up on your budget that you're looking at, that's the increases from the adopted.
Thank you.
Mr.
Yes,
Lawler.
Can you give me just a round number, exactly how much we received between state and federal per student? Now, I'm not trying to put you on the hot seat here. I've asked that before, but I'm still trying to find out just an approximate number. And if you don't have that now, it's fine. You can give it to me tomorrow or later down the road. But I'm just very curious, how much is it that we receive overall per student?
Okay. Yeah, I'll be able to provide that information for you later.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Laura, when you're saying state and federal, are you referring to students with an IEP as well? Because there are students not all students are funded the same. So there's, and certain IEP students receive more funding depending on their, the code for their learning or wherever they fit in. So it's not as, it's not,
Right, across the board.
yeah.
But can I get a general idea and somewhat different charts by what you're mentioning?
Sure.
That
Sure.
way, you know, we
I would
can- we
probably
can-
say we'll do that with students without an IEP.
Okay.
Would be the cleanest, and then if we want to break it down more than that, but again, the special education students are funded differently.
Exactly.
As well as the free and reduced now.
Yes,
Right.
They're
exactly.
also-
especially now with the poverty rate.
Right, correct. So I'm just trying to get, just,
Of course.
doesn't have to be exact, just as close as you can get as
Of
possible.
course. I
All
can
right.
get that for you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is a review of the proposal to levy adjacent ways through the truth and taxation. Mrs. Thompson? He doesn't get to leave.
No, I don't.
We will continue with Mr. Herrera and Associate Superintendent Cordery as backup.
Do we have to?
Just to make sure I'm looking at this right. It's just based off of our
I gotcha.
Kurt.
Okay, so the truth and taxation that we need to talk about is the $1.5 million that we are levying this year, or proposing that we levy this year for Somerton. That covers emergency ingress, egress, utilities, things like that cross to get to our land for those purposes. So in order to do that for Somerton, we need about $4 to $4.5 million is the estimate for that, in an effort to not burden our taxpayers. By doing that all in one fiscal year, we have planned out and done that over 3 fiscal years so that we can kind of maintain the tax rate in that portion. We can't always control all the tax rate, but we can control that portion. That's the amount above and beyond our normal tax rate. And so that's what this is. It was in the paper just recently, as required by law for us to do that. And that's what our proposal is for the $1.5 million for this fiscal year.
Any questions?
And there's no change from last year. It's the same amount as last year.
We also levied $1.5 million last year, so that keeps that portion of the tax rate the same. No increase on that part.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Is there a motion to adjourn the public hearing? The motion has been made by Ms. Mellon, seconded by Ms. Kravitz to adjourn this public hearing. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. We will reconvene at 5:15 for our regular meeting. we'll call this meeting of the Yuma Union High School District Number 70 Governing Board to order. We've already done the pledge in the moment of silence during our work session, so we'll dispense with that. First item, board members' reports. Board members may have a discussion about conferences, visitations, legislation, special recognition, donations, etc. Ms. Mellon, I know you had something.
Yes, thank you, President Townsend. First of all, I want to thank the Arizona legislature for passing the budget and for the additional funding that they put towards education. The other item that I wanted to share, I had the honor of being at the state capitol on Monday, and Representative Joanne Osborne has asked me to serve on the Teen Mental Health Ad Hoc Committee. So I'm really excited about that, and most of it came out of, I feel like was asked to do that because of all the good work that is happening in the high school district and in our community with the Yellow Ribbon Project, and they're very impressed with what we're doing in Yuma County. So I'm just going to continue to share all the good stuff up there of what we're doing. So thank you.
Okay. Mr. Gonzalez, you had something.
Yes, sir. On June 22nd to the 25th, I had the pleasure to attend the National Skills USA Conference in Atlanta, Georgia. I was able to see most of our students competing at their highest level in live action. It is an unforgettable experience. To know that Skills USA is the largest organization whose purpose is to serve students preparing for technical skilled and service careers motivates me to continue supporting our own career and technical education program. I want to thank Ms. Lori Honeycutt, Mr. Jim Payne, and the rest of the staff that helped organize the trip so that our students, teachers, and industry are working together to ensure that America has a skilled workforce. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Kravitz, did you have something?
I do, thank you. Oh, I'll turn this on. Since my last board meeting, which was one before the one that we met, I have enjoyed being at graduation with our students. That was so fabulous. And I attended the day-long training for youth mental health first aid that the district has been offering to all its staff. Upon completion, I was fortunate enough to receive a 3-year certificate. Thank you for that opportunity. It was a great experience, and I loved working with other employees of the district as well. Youth mental health is such an important role in today's education. Following up the State Skills USA competition that I was able to go to, I feel so grateful to also have been able to accompany so many of our students who placed first in the state of Arizona as they competed at the national level for Skills USA, which was held in Atlanta last month. So congratulations to all the students, and a big shout out cheer, not only to them, but also to their teachers, their advisors, CTE leaders, principals, and families who have constantly supported and encouraged them, and I include our district as a big supporter. I've only recently been able to pick my jaw up off the ground. Awesome, talented, and inspiring are words that I would use to describe the entire conference and our students. Thank you also to Mr. Brianza, Ms. Honeycutt, and Mr. Champagne, who never let me get lost and answered every question that I had. What an honor to be on this board with these students and all of our incredibly hardworking staff. At Yuma Union High School District, I feel like the work doesn't end at the last day of school. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lauer, do you have anything? Okay, and I don't. So that concludes our board member reports. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, superintendent's report. Mrs. Thompson.
Thank you, President Townsend and governing board members. I'm taking this opportunity tonight just to share a little bit about our student worker program in Yuma Union High School District, because I realize when we go out and we talk to employers about the amazing students that we have, that we should be the first line if we have opportunities to employ them, as we're building internship process and different opportunities for working in the community. We know career and technical education is very powerful, but not every student is involved in that, and every student may or may not need to be working at this point in their academic life. But the student worker program is something we're really proud of here, and it actually dates back. Ms. Cordery did a little bit of investigation for me, and back as far as 1995-96, we had some student workers in Yuma Union, and notice it's 67 student workers. But then leadership, and obviously with CFO at the helm and the superintendent, looking at the recession and how difficult it was for our students to seek employment and be gainfully employed. And so the work set about to be more intentional to open those avenues for our student workers and to recruit for positions that our students could fill those gaps. So I gave you a little bit of data. In 2010 and 11, with those more intentional hiring practices, we went from 60 in the 60s to 100. And then all the way as high as 196 student workers in 2017-18, and this last school year, 154 student workers. They are actual employees. These are not TAs. These are students who become our employees part-time, no more than 19 hours a week, for heaven's sakes. So, with that, they learn skills depending on what that role, it might be ticket sales, it may be working in the athletic training department, it may be in the attendance office, there's just so many different opportunities, bookstore, etc. So we feel like it's just a really important offering that we have, and it's also demonstrating to our community that we, as one of the larger employees in Yuma County, employ our own students, and we trust in that process. And then the final data point I just wanted to share, because economics are important. Last year, those students, 153 students, that equals $351,934.01 from our budget. So that goes right back into a monetary investment in our students, as well as that opportunity to add that to their resume, and perhaps even decide that they want to work for us full-time in one of our positions within Yuma Union. And Mr. President Townsend, that does conclude my report this evening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thompson.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
How do we promote these to students? How will students know that they can be employed for the district?
Necessity is the mother of all things, right? So the campuses or the offices that are needing student workers actually go out and let counselors know that positions are available. We have some other social media things that go out, but we usually promote it through the offices that need them because they know what they need.
Any other questions?
Just real quick.
Mr. Lau.
So that means all job openings, the students have first crack at it before anybody else.
For student worker, there are positions that are part-time that are appropriate for student workers, and they would have first crack, or to be perfectly honest, we just don't fill that position. It's not like we would go out and hire for many of our
Okay.
positions a part-time employee.
Right. So if it's
Right.
not a student, then it's not filled.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Thompson. Next item, 3.1, budget update. Overview of the 2020-21 Yuma Union High School District internal budget. Mr. Herrera, you're back up.
Hello, everybody. Long time no see. So for this report, this is going to be for the expenditures as of 7/1/2022. For our maintenance and operations, on the first page here, we see we spent $63,000 out of the $72,000 that we budgeted. Now we are still in the encumbrance period, so that just means in July and August we have to pay last year's expenditure, so this number will be going up. On our next page, we also see the continuation of the maintenance and operations budget that we've spent $2.6 million out of the $7.8 million. Again, we're still in the encumbrance period, so that number will be going up once we've paid all your expenditures. And for our capital budget, here we've spent $2.9 million of the budgeted $16 million. We're still and the encumbrance periods with this as well. So we're just gonna be waiting that number to go up as soon as we pay some old year expenditures. And I know we have some contingency here as well added on there for the Somerton High School project. So, and we also have the monthly student activities report. We've started off with 770,000 cash balance, and we ended it at 742,000. Year-to-date revenues, we've received 381,000, and our expenditures have been $275,000 for the district. Also to note that on Monday, Neil Brown will be meeting with campuses just so they can start planning and formulating how they're going to be using these funds on our students who generated these revenues, so we make sure that they've been properly spent.
Any questions for Mr. Herrera? Ms. Kravitz?
Thank you. On the interim school budgets per campus, is there any way that we can get, I don't know if there's, I don't know what the right word is. Is there a discretionary budget, or is this the budget that the principals at each campus get to decide what they want to spend it on? And is there a way for us to get a reporting of what happened on each campus?
This is what the budget that they received. This is for the discretionary. They do actually.
So like, let's just say, for example, that somebody decided to replace a floor, like a basketball court floor or something like that. Is there any way that we can get a report on that? Or an overview, or?
For you just want expenditures like what was used specifically for
Like
something
by
like that?
campus.
By
What
campus?
improvements did they do to their campuses?
Yeah, we could do that.
Thank you.
Of course.
I clearly did not speak.
Mr. Lotto?
Yeah, just a quick question here. Looking at the buses, and I remember, or remind me, I should say, we share the buses with, is it District 1 or Crane
District 1 is the fiscal agent for transportation.
for transportation? So on the buses, we're paying for the buses and we share it with them. So that's what I'm trying to remember.
So we each have approximately 100 buses. And so it takes 200 buses approximately to do the elementary run, and it takes about 200 buses to do the high school run. So we use each other's buses, but we each buy half of the buses.
Okay, I got
We share that cost.
you. Right, okay, so.
We have actually just maybe a handful more, maybe 10 to 12 more, because we have activity buses, because our students travel to Phoenix, our teams, athletic teams, things like
Okay.
that. Then the elementary, they don't have as many field trips.
So would they spend pretty close as much as we do?
I can't speak for them as far as what they're buying as far as new replacement buses. They maintain the same number in their fleet. I think we probably are renewing ours faster.
Faster? Okay.
Yes.
That-
I
that-
think our
yeah.
fleet, the average fleet value in our district is 18 years. I think theirs might be a little bit more.
Right. Well, so since we have newer buses, that means they come out on top if they share our buses. So it's all right. I mean, just mention.
I would tell you, we put on more miles, they have more riders.
And they are the fiscal agent, so they take care of a lot of the personnel issues and things like
Exactly.
that, so.
Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Herrera.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, call to the public. Any person wishing to speak may present the information at this time only. All presentations are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes and a maximum of 15 minutes on each subject. Before you begin to speak, please identify yourself by clearly stating for the record your name. Comments by members of the governing board in response to any public comment will be limited to asking staff to review the matter or requesting rescheduling of the matter for further consideration at a later date. I didn't get any blue slips. Is there anybody who wanted to address the board at call to the public? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Next item are consent items. Consent items are adoption of items of routine nature and those that normally do not require deliberations on the part of the governing board. A board member may pull items which will be discussed and voted on separately. Under personnel, item 5.2, we need to pull number 73. Is there a motion? Does anybody need to pull anything or for consideration, or is there a motion to accept the consent items as presented?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda, or the consent, item as stated, with the exception of pulling out number 73.
Motion has been made by Mr. Gonzalez, seconded by Mr. Lara, to adopt the consent items as presented with the exception of pulling personnel item 5.2, number 73. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Let me get to my
Let me get to that.
next page here. Okay. Action items. Consideration to accept donations. I will read the donations. To Cibola High School, Sunland Chemical Company, Inc. donated $200 to Cibola High School FFA chapter. This donation will be used for their annual banquet. Jesus Ibarra, on behalf of the 22nd Annual Castaneda Chaos Golf Tournament, donated $3,400 to Cibola High School Wrestling. This donation will be used for travel expenses, registration, and camp fees, and any gear and materials needed for the wrestling program. To Gila Ridge High School, Donors Choose donated large building plate sets and creative Lego sets to Gila Ridge High School Science Department. The donation will be used to create models of DNA. The value of this donation is $1,005.09. To Yuma High School, the Yuma Criminal Touchdown Booster Club donated $1,590 to Yuma High School Athletics. This donation will be used for any athletic purchases or services. It is recommended that the governing board accept the above listed donations. And I need to recuse myself from this, so is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, accept the above listed donations with thanks.
Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Kravitz and seconded by Mr. Gonzalez to approve the above listed donations. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, I'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show as 4-0 to 1 abstention. Thank you. Next item, 6.2, consideration to approve the agreement to provide meal service to Educational Opportunity Center. It is recommended that the governing board approve the agreement between the Educational Opportunity Center and Yuma Union High School District Number 70 for meal service for the 2022-23 school year. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. Gonzalez, seconded by Ms. Kravitz. Is there any discussion, questions? Ms. Thompson, do you need to add anything?
I think the item is self-explanatory.
Okay. The motion is to approve the agreement between Educational Opportunity Center and Yuma Union High School District 70 for the meal service for the 2022-23 school year. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. It was a long agreement.
It was. It is.
It's still a long agreement. There we go. Next item, 6.3, consideration to adopt the school budget for 2022-23. It is recommended that the governing board adopt the school district budget for 2022-23. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, adopt the school district budget for 2022-2023.
I second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Mellon, seconded by Ms. Kravitz, to adopt the school district budget for 2022-23. Ms. Thompson, Ms. Cordery, do you want to add anything?
I would personally like to add how thankful I am to Associate Superintendent Cordery now, Anthony Herrera, Neil Brown, Whitney, everyone in that office, because it's been a lot of work and a lot of waiting, contracts going out, trying to get people paid. I don't think anyone understands the enormity of what goes on between finance and then human resources. So I just want to personally say thank you for sticking with it the whole time, and making us so solid financially, being so wise to have that trigger in the contract, and luckily we were able to add additional dollars to the base salary. So I feel very fortunate, and I'm always blown away by the professionalism and the expertise in that office. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? We'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 6.4, consideration to approve the Chromebook repair and insurance notice for 2022-23. It is recommended that the governing board approve the Chromebook repair and insurance notice for 2022-23. Is there a motion?
I move that we, the governing board, approve the Chromebook repair and insurance notice for 22-23.
Motion made by Ms. Kravitz, seconded by Mr. Lotta, to approve the Chromebook repair and insurance notice for 2022-2023. Ms. Thompson, Ms. Cordery, do we want to add anything?
So in the past, we've had charges for students that have had damage to netbooks, if they, not necessarily even intentional, but if they had cracked keys or keyboards or issues like that, there's been a charge at the end of the year or even before graduation for them for those expenses. So this year, Mr. Farr was fortunate enough to find an insurance policy that we were able to buy for all of our devices, all 4 years, not just the new ones coming in, that would cover those expenses. We were able to include that in our budget when we purchased the new devices this year. So there is no charge per this document for the student unless it's intentional. Intentionally, if it's lost, stolen, or intentionally damaged, then there will be a fee, which is what's included in this document tonight.
And again, I'd like to compliment the tenacity on this, just because at the beginning of starting Chromebooks, we didn't have this opportunity. It's always been something that Diane and Dean have aspired to find for our students because it's just, things happen. And it's very expensive for our families as well as the district. So thank you for sticking with it and finding a way.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 6.5, consideration to temporarily suspend Board Policy FF as permitted by Board Policy BGF for the purpose of addressing Agenda Item 6.6. It is recommended that the Governing Board move to suspend Governing Board Policy FF related to 2 requirements regarding naming of facilities for the discussion and consideration of Agenda Action Item 6.6 of this Board agenda dated July 13th, 2022. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion has been made by Mr. Gonzalez, seconded by Mr. Lara, to move to suspend Governing Board Policy FF related to 2 requirements regarding naming of facilities for discussion and consideration of Agenda Action Item 6.6 of this Board agenda dated July 13th, 2022. Ms. Thompson, does it need any further explanation?
Well, it is an honor to bring the recommendation to you. And I provided a packet to President Townsend in case any board members would like to see it, but it is the electronic signatures. It was a wonderful read. Many people offered information about Mr. Kolb in there, and it's just it's an honor to bring it forward for all of the reasons that we have discussed about him before. So,
is there any questions or discussion about this item? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now we get to it. Item 6.6, consideration to name the football stadium at Yuma High School the Curly Culp Memorial Stadium. This does not change the name of Doane Field, by the way. It does not. I just wanted to make that a point. It is recommended that the governing board approve naming the football stadium at Yuma High School the Curly Culp Memorial Stadium. I'm going to make this motion as the only Yuma High graduate. I will make the motion that the governing board approve naming the football stadium at Yuma High School the Curly Culp Memorial Stadium.
I second as a COFA graduate, so that says a lot.
The motion has been made by Mr. Townsend, seconded by Ms. Mellon, to approve naming the football stadium at Yuma High School the Curly Culp Memorial Stadium. Does anybody need any further explanation? I know we've got some people in the audience that are here eager to see this through, and we appreciate all your efforts. Is Bard ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations and thank you for all your work. Next item, ARS, call for executive session. ARS 38-431-A7, discussions or consultations with designated representatives of the public body in order to consider its position and instruct its representatives regarding negotiations for the purchase, sale, or lease of real property. Is there a motion to go in executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Ms. Mellon to go in executive session. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will go into executive session. There really is no more business.